review car? Peter Christensen here. Coming to you from the new and improved CEO's desk. It's a fine looking wall behind me. I know. Very excited about it. I think it's going to make me sound smarter too. Okay, today we're talking about a clause in the REPC that is probably not thought of a whole lot, but is an interesting one. It is section 21 of the current REPC. I say current because I think that all the sections might be different in the future. So, but right now, section 21, time is of the essence. What does that mean? Well, it's a term of art in the law, which basically means, I don't know, for some reason, some of the courts in the past treated dates in the in contracts as if they were just kind of general guidelines, but not really strictly enforceable. And so this term of art came about that time is of the essence. So basically, it's an announcement that when we say a date, when we say a time, when we give you parameters, we mean it. And so in this contract, as you all know, when there's a deadline, you got to do something by that deadline or there are ramifications, right? It's going to affect the contract after that if you do not perform what you're supposed to by a deadline in the REPC. Why? Because of that section 21. It says time is of the essence. So it does more than that, though. That's a simple announcement. If you have that in a contract, it means we're serious about the dates. And so we are instructing as well the courts that these dates mean something and there isn't leeway on them unless we give it. And so, but there's something else really important in that, two things that are important in the time is of the essence clause. So the first one says that unless otherwise explicitly stated in the REPC, and by the way, when we say in the REPC, addenda count. So if you have 5 addenda, well, they count as part of the REPC. So this counts towards those deadlines as well. Performance under each section of the REPC, which references a date, shall absolutely be required by 5 p.m. Mountain Time on the stated date. So that's kind of weird, right? It's actually defining that when we say Tuesday the 11th, then we don't mean 11:59. We mean 5 o'clock p.m. And that's when that deadline ends. So you don't get from 5 till midnight. That part of the day, according to this clause, doesn't exist for purposes of performing the action required by that deadline. So yeah, that's important to know, and everyone knows that when they're dealing with the REPC. Everyone who's studied the REPC and taken classes and trained, but maybe doesn't know why. But that's why. It's because the contract says that 5 p.m. is the deadline we're referencing. When we say a day, we don't have to say at 2 o'clock on that day, at 4 o'clock on that day. We can, because it says unless otherwise stated in the REPC. So if you would rather have it be midnight on a certain day, then you can do that. But you have to explicitly say it in the contract. So the next part that's kind of interesting is it says, and the term days and calendar days shall mean calendar days and shall be counted beginning on the day following the event which triggers the timing. So if you say, the day after you have 3 days after inspection to do something. I'm making something up. This isn't in a standard REPC. But you have a triggering event, and that's when the inspection's done. And then you have 3 days. Well, that brings up the question. Your inspection's done at 8 a.m. what does that mean for the deadline that's now announced? You must, cancel by within 3 days of, this inspection being done. So I'm making up a weird clause here. This is not in the REPC, but just stay with me. So you have a triggering event. That's your inspection. Well, what does 3 days mean? So let's say it's Monday that the inspection's done. So do you say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? So by what day, what time? Well, REPC time is of the essence clause kicks in, so it's 5 o'clock. But what day? Do you count the day that the inspection was done? No, you don't. Why? Because it says it shall begin on the day following the event which triggers the timing requirement. So when does this count? Well, it counts when there's a deadline. So in this hypothetical, you can cancel within 3 days of. So you have a deadline. Cancel within 3 days of something happening. So we know, what does 3 days mean? Well, it means at 5 o'clock on the third day. Now, when do days start? Well, the triggering event is Monday. So Tuesday is day 1. Wednesday, Thursday is day 3. So it's 5 o'clock on Thursday in my hypo. Important to know, especially if you're going to add deadlines to the REPC through an addendum, and you have a triggering event, an amount of days, and then a deadline. I think those are kind of the important elements here. All right, remember, this is not legal advice. This is legal information only. If you need specific legal advice, please contact your attorney. Thanks for tuning in.